Here's my preview of the number 9 Baylor at Kansas, number 5 Kansas men's basketball game. And I'm going to mention this off the top. Kansas has two players that are probable with ankle injuries. And I'm going to go over those real fast. The stats right now. And I'm going to put that in the description below as well. Obviously, Jalen Wilson is their best player. 6'8" 225-pound forward, a junior, 20.3 points per game. 58 for 162 on threes. 107 for 139 on free throws. 8.2 rebounds per game. 2.6 assists per game. 2.3 turnovers per game. 0.9 steals per game. 2.1 fouls per game. Grady Dick, number 4. 6'8" guard, 205-pound guard as a freshman. 14.7 points per game. 61 for 143 on threes. 60 for 71 on free throws. 4.9 rebounds per game. 1.2 turnovers per game. 1.5 steals per game. 2.3 fouls per game. Now, Kevin McCullough is probably with the ankle injury. It was his right ankle. He stepped on an Oklahoma State player last game, and he walked gingerly, and he had help off the court, but the game was already out of hand by then, but we have to wait and see if he even gets to play. Which, they're anticipating him to going to play, but regardless. Number 15, 6'6", 210-pound guard that's a senior. 10.8 points per game, 21 for 74 on threes, 69 for 90 on free throws, 2.4 rebounds per game, 2.2 assists per game, 2.6 blocks per game, 2.6 assists per game, 2.3 turnovers per game, 2.9 fouls per game. KJ Adams, number 24, 6'7", 225-pound forward. That's a sophomore. 10.5 points per game. 0 for 1 on threes. 44 for 73 on free throws. 4.3 rebounds per game. 1.7 turnovers per game. 0.8 steals per game. 0.9 blocks per game. 3 fouls per game. Now, probable with the ankle injury is Dejon Harris. Yes, he got hurt, but then he came back and played, and it was his left ankle. Junior, number 3. 6'1", 175-pound guard. That's a junior. 8 points per game. 21 for 54 on threes. 20 for 30 on free throws. 2.5 rebounds per game. 6.1 assists per game. 2.1 turnovers per game. 1.9 steals per game. 1.7 fouls per game. Joseph Yesufu, number 1, 6 foot, 180-pound guard. That's a junior. 4 points per game. 16 for 56 on threes. 10 for 13 on free throws. 1 foul per game. Bobby Pettiford Jr., number 0, 6 foot 1 inch. 190-pound guard. That's a sophomore. 2.7 points per game. 2 for 7 on threes. 4 for 6 on free throws. 1.2 turnovers per game. 1 foul per game. MJ Rice, number 11, 6'5", 215-pound guard. That's a freshman. 2.6 points per game. 2 for 13 on threes. 8 for 12 on free throws. 1.2 fouls per game. Ernest Uday Jr., number 23, 6'11", 250-pound center. That's a freshman. 2.5 points per game. 6 for 14 on free throws. 2.1 rebounds per game, 0.7 steals per game, 0.6 blocks per game, 1.5 fouls per game. Now, that's the main part. And I'm going to mention one more guy, only because he did play last game. And that's Zuby Ejiofor, number 35, 6'9", 240-pound forward. That's a freshman. 1.3 points per game. 4 for 8 on free throws. 0.6 turnovers per game. 0.7 blocks per game. 0.8 fouls per game. I will say this right off the top. You got to limit your foul trouble as much as possible on both ends of the floor. Now, defensively, we know Jalen Wilson is going to get his. Just got to make him inefficient, but you got to be smart with the foul trouble issued also. I would also say you got to not let Grady Dick go off. Unlike the Oklahoma State game, you can't let him go off. You just got to limit him as much as possible and chase him off the three-point line. And if you could get him in foul trouble, that would be huge. You got to contain the shooters, contain the slashers. You got to get defensive rebounds so you could limit the second chance points for Kansas in this game. Force turnovers. You got to limit the fast break points as well and points in the paint. And points out turnovers especially. Now, on the offensive end, you got to take care of the ball. You got to get good shot selection. You got to get offensive rebounds so you can get your second chance points. You got to get some fast break points in the paint, just to not rely on just on jump shooting alone. I mean, you gotta be, of course, crisp passing and all that. And it would be huge if Adam Flagler would step up, L.J. Cryer would step up, Joan Bridges step up, Langston Love, trying to think, Keontae George to step up. I mean, Float Noma just does his role. Jonathan Champa Chachua needs to step up, and I think he's going to help because he's going to help on the defensive end, and he's a threat to score the ball anywhere on the court. He could shoot threes. He could post up. He could hit mid-range. I mean, that's the truth about him. Of course, if Josh Ujiwuna has to play for whatever reason, he needs to step up and does his role. Caleb Lohner just needs to do his role on defense and rebounding. And if he could score, that's a bonus. Of course, I already mentioned Langston Love. I would also say if Dale Bonner needs to play, he needs to step up as well. So, that's most of the guys. And to explain what Kansas did in terms of what against Oklahoma State last game. And, of course, you got to limit Kevin McCullough, too. I mean, a little bit. And I would also test on the offensive side of the ball. Test the ankles of Kevin McCullough and DeJohn Harris. Make them chase off screens. I mean, ball screens. And screens in general, like, and you gotta set your screens really tight and don't try to. And I know, I mean, like have illegal screens. Gotta stay set. Grady Dick last game has 26 points on 10 for 17 shooting, 4 for 9 on threes. So, he's the main shooter on this team, clearly. But I know Jalen Wilson is going to get his. I know he will. You got to limit KJ Adams as well on the offensive end. But I wonder, I know he's playing better, but I wonder if the height is going to help in our favor. Because you got to remember, Float Namba is taller by a few inches. I know John's not that tall, but not as tall as Flo, but I mean, height advantage and experience advantage. I mean, you just got to be tough in this game. And I know the officiating might be questionable in this game. I know it is. I'm not going to lie about it because Kansas gets a lot of calls in their favor. You gotta limit the crowd and take the crowd out of the game as much as possible. And you got to come out with energy. And you can't let college game day stuff distract you either. They have the distraction of hosting it. They do. You don't. Let's go in there and take it to them. And we're not going to, no need to back down to them. Because they're not the typical Kansas team of the past. They're not as tall. They don't have a true big man. I mean, and their bench has been better as of recently a little bit. But you got to limit the bench points, and you got to get some bench points on your own. I mean, that's not a lie. I mean, and this is a massive game here. Because right now, we are currently tied in a three-way tie with Texas and Kansas. I mean, 9-4 in the conference. Loser of this game, 5 conference losses. I mean, that's the truth. You just got to come out with more edge and fire in this game. And you got to make your threes count. And you got to make your free throws count. And you got to limit the free throws for Kansas, too. I mean, you just don't want to get them to the line so much. And I know we only won there one time. And that was like 2019-2020 season in history. But here's the deal. History doesn't matter. It really, really doesn't. It's about the here and now. Sure, it's good in terms of historical context, but it doesn't really matter because this game is the most important one up to this date. It's a top 10 showdown between the last 2 national title winners here. And this is for a Big 12 to be at least, you could be first place in the Big 12 still, like tied for first. no matter what. I mean, it's the truth. So, anyways, if you like this content, hit like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. It's going to be 5 subscribers. Let's get me up to that. Let's go.